order system. Time domain analysis of second order system. Remember, the first order system was very easy. There were only two simple components. Oh, by the way, my new screen is visible to you, right? If you can see, just somebody just say yes. I have shared another PPT now. Time domain
Yes,
analysis.
sir. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right, great. So now you are seeing the time domain analysis of second order system. Can someone quickly tell me what is the difference between first order and second order system? Anyone quickly? It is just about the order of the system, right? Yes, Nikhil? Yes, the order of the system is 2. Means what? There are 2 poles in the system, or the degree of the denominator polynomial is 2. And remember, the second order system analysis, whatever we are going to start now, is going to play a vital role in analyzing all the systems that you are going to see further in the course. Okay. Now, what I mean by this, there are going to be higher order systems. Okay. Third order, fourth order, fifth order, and even higher order systems will be there. But it is not really easy to analyze those systems directly. So in control theory, what happens many times is you will model the system, or you will uh, approximate the higher order system as second order system and present the analysis of the second order system. Also, the characteristics which are called as time domain characteristics of the system are common to all the higher order systems. And from that point of view also, whatever we are going to see in this today's and our next lecture about the time domain analysis is going to play a very major role in your system analysis. Okay. So let's move ahead with the time domain analysis of second order system. Okay. As I said, the first order system was very simple, and the analysis also was quite simplified because there were only 2 components. And as I showed you yesterday as well as today also about the effect of those 2 components. There were 2 components, right? DC gain and DC gain K and time constant T. Only 2 components were there. So we have seen the effects of both of these, right? But in case of second order system, it is much more complicated, and based on the values of those components of the second order system, it can exhibit a wide range of responses, and those need to be analyzed, and we are going to analyze those different types of responses. Okay. So this is basically what I have written on this slide, whatever I told you right now. Okay. So sometimes you may find that even if the system is second order system, its output or the response looks like a first order system. Now that is dependent on, again, some of the values of the second order system, and those are some characteristic specialties of second order system, that the output may look like a first order system or some different type of output we may get from a second order system. Now take out your notebooks, I hope you already have, and draw this diagram and remember this diagram forever. Okay, this is the most important diagram that you are going to see about the second order system, and also in the control systems. The equation and the diagram that I have shown you on the screen, the diagram and this equation is the most important equation in control system. Okay, everyone must recall this equation, and if it is asked, tell me the transfer function or the equation of a second order system, then you should immediately tell this equation within fraction of seconds. Omega n square upon s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. Like this, you should be able to tell this equation immediately. Okay, omega n square upon s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. So this is the most important equation in the control system theory, in the classical control system theory subject, control system 1. And you must remember this equation forever. This will be required for your next year subject also. When you see control system 2, at that time also you will have to take cognizance of this equation. So don't think that this is the subject, once you pass it will be over. No, it is going to play a major role in all the system design calculations that you are going to perform. Okay. Now, can someone derive this equation from here? This is what in our standard way of representation, this is g of s, and h of s is what? H of s is equal to 1. So from these two equations also, can you derive this? Yes, you can see that this is a negative feedback. So the equation is gs upon 1 plus gs. So if you substitute all these values here, you will get this equation. So this is the final equation of standard equation for the second order system. Okay, omega n square upon s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. Now, what are these omega n and zeta? Right, there are two components or two variables, you can say. S is the obviously the Laplace domain variable, so that is not a question. There are two parameters in this equation. The first one is zeta and second one is omega n. So what are these? Omega n is the undamped natural frequency of the second order system. What is it? Undamped natural frequency of the second order system, which is the frequency of oscillation of the system without damping. Okay. Now, some of these things you may have studied somewhere in physics or somewhere about the frequency of oscillation, the natural frequency of oscillation. If something is there, for example, a string of a guitar, you put a give that string some vibrations and it will vibrate at a particular frequency, right? That is its natural frequency. And if you apply your fingers, what you are doing, you are damping it. Okay. So omega n is that undamped natural frequency of the second order system. And the second factor or the second parameter in the equation, which is this zeta, and that zeta is called the damping ratio or damping factor of the second order system. Okay. And that is the measure of degree of resistance to the change in the system output. These two values are going to play an important role in looking at the response of the second order system. Now, this is the equation, right? Why we are calling it a second order system? Because here we have highest power of s is 2. The degree of the denominator polynomial is 2, s square, right? So this is a second order system. Now, if we just for an example, we want to find out, and by the way, this example looks very simple, and in some question papers it has been asked already to just find out undamped natural frequency and damping ratio. Some of you may think that why such simple question is asked, but mind you, many students make mistake while finding these values. Can you find out? What you have to do? You have to just equate or you have to just compare these two equations, the given equation with the standard equation. Now, how are you going to find it? By the way, the lecture may end. There are around 2.5 minutes remaining, so you will have to rejoin after if it ends. Okay, we are going to continue for some time. Okay. Okay, so we have to now compare these two equations. Can someone tell me how do you compare this? We are comparing, basically, we are comparing the polynomials. So how do we compare polynomials? We compare polynomials by comparing their coefficients, coefficients of the independent variable powers. Okay. Also, note down that the numerator term and the unity term. Why I'm calling this unity term? Because this is the coefficient of s raised to 0 term. S raised to 0 means 1. That is the unity term, right? The coefficient of this s raised to 0 term and the numerator, these are equal. Okay, remember this. This is the first thing that you have to verify. If it is not, then you must do some adjustments. For example, if let's say here it was 40, then what can be done? Then what can be done? Just do 1 by 40. Sorry, 1 by 4. And you write here 4. So what will happen? And the equation, whatever it was. So you got 4 upon that equation, which is in the form. So 1 by 4 and 4, and here 40 as it is. Like this, just like that. You just have to make some rearrangement of terms of this numerator value, the multiplier value. Okay. Once you ensure that these two terms are equal, means this 4 and this 4 are equal, then omega n square is 4. So omega n is 2 radians per second. Why radian per second? Because it's a frequency, right? We said that omega n is the undamped natural. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now we have to compare this second part. कोणी सांगू शकते का कसं करणार आता नेमकं काय कंपेअर झालं पाहिजे काय इक्वल आहे इथं व्हॉट इज इक्वल in this case? Basically we want to find out the value of this zeta. Okay, zeta we have to find out. How can we find out? Can someone tell me now? Anyone? Your voice is breaking, Pramod.
1 by 2 is equal to damped ratio.
1 by 2 is equal to
Zeta.
1 by 2. How did you find out?
कारण की 2 नंतर डायरेक्ट एस आहे म्हटलं तिथे मल्टिप्लाय बाय 1 असणार आहे.
हाँ
मग ओमेगा एन आहे आपला 2. मग जर समज मल्टिप्लाय 1 असेल तर 1 by 2 यायला पाहिजे तिथे.
Okay, 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 good. Now see, the thing is what we are equating, we have to equate the coefficients of the powers. जे मी ब्ल्यू मध्ये सर्कल स्क्वेअर केलाय ते आपल्याला इक्वेट करायचं असतं. एस चा कोएफिशियंट आणि एस चा कोएफिशियंट हे सेम असले पाहिजे. ओके, सो 2 zeta omega n is equal to 2. Okay. I will suggest that you should always try to write down all the steps whenever you are solving the problem. Otherwise, you may get, while solving it orally, you may get something wrong. Okay. So 2 zeta omega n is equal to 2. Many times students make what mistake? They just this 2 gela, zeta ची value 2 टाकली किंवा n types of mistakes they make. So just go stepwise. 2 zeta omega n is equal to 2. So omega n is equal to 1. Zeta omega n is equal to 1 and zeta is equal to 1 by omega n. And omega n is what? Omega n we have found out is equal to 2. So zeta is equal to 1 by 2. Okay. So you are right, Pramod. Zeta is equal to 1 by 2. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so zeta is equal to 0.5. This is how you find out the values of omega n and zeta. Okay, now where are the 2 poles? Their system is second order system, means there are 2 poles in the system. So how do we find out the poles of the system? Just this is the characteristic equation or the denominator polynomial. You just find out its roots. This is the second order system. So what is the formula for finding out roots of a second order polynomial? Formula काय आहे second order साठीचा? Yes, anyone? आठवतंय का? मायनस बी प्लस मायनस स्क्वेअर रूट ऑफ काय आहे ते पुढचं?
4ab minus a square.
4ab
square minus 4ab upon b square.
नाही. Minus b
plus minus b plus minus under root a square minus 4ac upon 2a.
a square नहीं है तो b square minus 4ac.
हाँ
b square minus 4ac upon क्या है 2a.
2a.
Okay. 2a. Right. So if you apply that formula here on this equation, this is what you will get. These are the 2 poles. Again, note down these values of the 2 poles. Again, very important. Okay, because based on the values of these poles, we are going to analyze the system further. Okay, based on these 2 values of the poles, आता याच्यात काय components आहे परत? You can see omega n आणि zeta, right? ओमेगा एन आणि झीटा एवढेच 2 कॉम्पोनंट आहेत पोलच्या व्हॅल्यूज मध्ये. म्हणजे काय की तुमच्या पोलच्या व्हॅल्यूज ऍक्च्युअल व्हॅल्यूज ऑन द पोल 0 प्लॉट. हा पोल 0 प्लॉट असतो आपला, हा सिग्मा आणि हा जे ओमेगा, बरोबर आहे? आठवत आहे? सिग्मा प्लस जे ओमेगा हा जो प्लॉट आहे याच्यावर ह्या आपल्याला प्लॉट करायचे. तुमचे 2 पोल असणार आहेत. मग ते पोल कुठेही असू शकतात. इथं असे असू शकतील किंवा इथं असू शकतील किंवा एखादा इकडे आणि एक इकडे असेल, काही असू शकतं, बरोबर? फक्त ते कॉम्प्लेक्स कॉन्जुगेट असले तर ते पेअर मध्येच येतील, राईट? असा असू शकतो किंवा असा असू शकतो. एनी पॉसिबिलिटीज ऑफ द पोल्स आर बेस्ड ऑन व्हॉट? बेस्ड ऑन द व्हॅल्यूज ऑफ ओमेगा एन अँड झीटा, राईट? ओमेगा एन आणि झीटाच्या व्हॅल्यूज वर डिपेंड करतील की त्या पोलच्या व्हॅल्यूज कुठे आणि ते कुठे जातात, राईट? सो it is very important that you note down these 2 equations, the poles of the second order system, minus omega and zeta. आता या ठिकाणी तुम्हाला शॉर्ट मध्ये लक्षात ठेवायचं ठीक आहे, मायनस ओमेगा एन झीटा प्लस और मायनस ओमेगा एन स्क्वेअर रूट झीटा स्क्वेअर मायनस 1. अशा पद्धतीने सुद्धा आपण ते लक्षात ठेवू शकतो. बिकॉज these are nothing but this is plus and this is minus, right? These are obviously going to give you complex conjugate poles. Okay, if there are complex, if they are real, then you may get real values. But if they are complex, जर एक व्हॅल्यू कॉम्प्लेक्स असेल तर दुसरी सुद्धा त्याची कॉम्प्लेक्स कॉन्जुगेटच मिळणार. ओके, नाउ अकॉर्डिंग टू द व्हॅल्यू ऑफ झीटा, a second order system can be set into one of the 4 categories. आपण जे बोलतो परत पुन्हा एकदा लक्षात ठेवा, झीटाची जी व्हॅल्यू आहे त्याच्यावर बेस्ड आता पुढचं बरचसं डिस्कशन आहे. So pay attention. If zeta is greater than 1, what will happen? You tell me. Zeta greater than 1 जर असेल आता याच्यात, तर पोलच्या व्हॅल्यूज कशा असतील? Actually, I have written it on the screen. I should have not written and asked you before. But anyway, the system has two real distinct poles. म्हणजे काय? दोन्ही पोल रियल असतील आणि डिस्टिंक्ट म्हणजे वेगवेगळे असतील. कशावरून सांगू शकतो आपण हे सांगा बरं. झीटाची व्हॅल्यू जर एकापेक्षा जास्त असेल, इफ इट इज ग्रेटर दॅन 1, म्हणजे काय? झीटा स्क्वेअर इज ग्रेटर दॅन 1, बरोबर आहे? If zeta is greater than 1, zeta square will also be greater than 1. So something greater than 1 minus 1. So this is a positive value. ही जी आहे under root मधली, that value will be positive. So if you take a square root of that, here we will have some positive value, some value. Okay, let's say x. Omega n multiplied by x. हे इथं add होतंय आणि इथं subtract होतंय या व्हॅल्यू मधून. मायनस ओमेगा एन झीटा मायनस ओमेगा एन झीटा हे तर सेम आहे, बरोबर? दोन्ही पोल साठी. सो सम रियल व्हॅल्यू प्लस सम रियल व्हॅल्यू आणि सेम रियल व्हॅल्यू मायनस सम रियल व्हॅल्यू. सो व्हॉट वी आर गेटिंग टू रियल व्हॅल्यूज and both the values will be separate. Okay, so in this case, when zeta is greater than 1, we will get two poles which are real. म्हणजे हा x axis वरच राहतील, sigma axis वर. Two poles will be real and distinct, means separate. Okay, two poles which are real and distinct. Remember this? Okay, understood why I said real and distinct? Based on this equation. Okay, if zeta is from 0 to 1, if zeta is between 0 and 1, remember it is not equal also. 0 equal nahi hai किंवा 1 सुद्धा equal nahi hai. Remember, it is in between. It is not less than equal to. No, it is not less than equal to. It is only less than. Okay, remember this. But by the way, when it is like this, when zeta is greater than 1 and it has two real and distinct poles, the system is called overdamped. Okay, and when it is like this, between 0 and 1, it is called underdamped. And what will be the value of the poles? Those will be complex conjugate poles. You can again apply the same kind of analysis here. It is between 0 and 1. So what is happening? Why it is not equal to 0? If it becomes 0, this term will become 0. So there will be only complex part, no real part. Okay, that's why that condition is different than this condition. मग जेव्हा 0 to 1 च्या मध्ये आहे तेव्हा हा जो यातला भाग आहे अंडर रूटचा, that is going to be negative. So we are going to get two complex conjugate poles, right? Minus omega and zeta is the real part, and this is going to be a complex part because we are going to have negative value in the square root. That kind of system is called underdamped system. Okay, we have two complex conjugate poles. Third category is undamped, when zeta is equal to 0. Now what is happening here? Zeta is equal to 0. जर का केला तर real part is 0, right? Because we are multiplying, this is omega n into zeta, so that is 0. So what remains is only plus or minus omega n, आणि स्क्वेअर रूट मध्ये काय आहे? फक्त -1, म्हणजेच काय? प्लस और मायनस जे ओमेगा एन, एवढंच राहिलं फक्त, बरोबर आहे? मीन्स two imaginary poles we will get, and those are on the imaginary axis. Correct? The two poles are on the imaginary axis when the system has zeta is equal to 0. Zeta आपण काय नाव दिलेलं आहे झिटाला? डॅम्पिंग रेशो किंवा डॅम्पिंग फॅक्टर. सो इफ डॅम्पिंग फॅक्टर इज 0, त्याचं मिनिंग काय? डॅम्पिंगच नाही आहे. देर इज नो डॅम्पिंग. दॅट्स वाय द सिस्टम इज कॉल्ड हियर अनडॅम्प्ड. डॅम्पिंग नसलेली सिस्टम, अनडॅम्प्ड सिस्टम. ओके. And the fourth possibility is when zeta is equal to 1. What happens? Zeta is equal to 1 asthana. Baga. This becomes 0. When zeta is equal to 1, this becomes 0. Means only real part remains and that too equal. So there are two poles. Both are real and equal. So repeated poles. So you can see here I have put two crosses here, quite overlapping crosses. And this kind of system is called critically damped system. Critically damped system. Okay. This is called critically damped system. So we will now stop here. What we have seen today is there are 4 categories in which a second order system will be categorized based on the value of zeta. Okay. When zeta is equal to 1, critically damped. When zeta is equal to 0, undamped. Okay, so let's resume our discussion on time domain analysis on second order systems. Okay, so the second order system is the one where there are 2 poles, right? That we already know now. There are 2 poles in the system, and the general formula for the poles, we have derived as this one. What is it based on? It is based on the general equation of the second order system. That is, what is that? Omega n square upon s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square, right? Based on that equation, the roots of that equation are given in this format, which I have encircled in red: minus zeta omega n plus minus omega n square root of zeta square minus 1, right? Now this is what? These are 2 roots of the denominator polynomial. That means these are the 2 poles of the system. Now you should draw this diagram. You should write down these equations and draw this diagram on your notebook and remember this forever. This diagram is going to help you in analyzing the system throughout, as long as we will talk about the second order system analysis. Okay, so pay close attention to that. Okay, you can see this is the origin in the S plane, right? Sigma plus j omega means this is the S plane, right? S plane. And in this S plane, this is the origin and this is that particular pole, one, and here another pole, right? These are complex conjugate poles. So the line which joins the origin with the pole, the straight line, the distance between these two is called omega n. This is equal to the value omega n. And you can see this beta, or in some books, or sometimes it can also be written as theta. This angle, this is the angle between negative real axis, right? This is negative real axis, the angle between negative real axis and this line joining the origin with the pole. This angle is called beta or theta, and the value of zeta is equal to cos of this beta. Okay. Additionally, you can see that this is zeta omega n. This is the real part, right? This is real part. You can see this is the pole. So this is the real part of the pole. So zeta omega n, real part, that is correct. And imaginary part is equal to j omega d. This omega d is called damped natural frequency. What? Damped natural frequency. And its value is actually derived from omega n and zeta, and that is equal to this one. This is nothing but, you see, I have given it here. This is the value of omega d, and that is equal to omega n square root 1 minus zeta square. Okay, so you should remember this diagram throughout. The real value of the pole is minus zeta omega n, and the imaginary value of the pole is omega d, which is nothing but omega n square root 1 minus zeta square. Okay. Now, what we were discussing, as we did for the first order system, we want to find out the step response of the second order system also. And in that particularly, we are going to focus on underdamped system. Okay, because underdamped system exhibits certain specific characteristics which are not possible to analyze for the other three types. कोणी सांगू शकता का कोणकोणत्या टाइपच्या सिस्टम्स आपण त्या दिवशी डिफाइन केला बेस्ड ऑन द व्हॅल्यू ऑफ झीटा? झीटाची व्हॅल्यू चेंज होती तसतशी सिस्टमचे टाइप चेंज होतो. काय 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 टाइप्स आहेत ते? एक झाला हा अंडरडॅम्प्ड, then undamped, critically damped, आणि overdamped. These are 4 types of systems or 4 categories of the system based on the values of zeta. Okay, now for that we are going to see the step response of the second order underdamped system. Means the value of zeta is between 0 and 1. The value of zeta is between 0 and 1. Okay, so based on that, what does it mean? This is the transfer function of the second order system. We have seen this. So response of this system means what? We multiply it by the Laplace transform of step signal, that is 1 by s. So we have multiplied this whole thing by 1 by s, right? So here it comes s. Now to find out the step response, means to find out the time domain expression for this CS, means we want to find out C of t, we have to take the inverse Laplace transform. So before that we will have to do partial fraction expansion, and that comes out to be like this: 1 by s minus s plus 2 zeta omega n upon s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. How many of you have gone through this slide that I posted on our group? मी काही लॅपलास ट्रान्सफॉर्मचे फॉर्म्युले आणि फार महत्वाचे जे मी म्हटले होते, ऍक्च्युली मी सांगितलं होतं तुम्हाला, तुम्ही स्टडी करून या. मागच्या लेक्चरलाही सांगितलं होतं आणि आज सकाळी तुम्हाला रिमाइंडर दिलं होतं. बट आय थॉट मेनी ऑफ यू मे नॉट हॅव युअर नोट्स, सो आय जस्ट पोस्टेड द फॉर्म्युले अगेन. आय जस्ट पोस्टेड दोज फॉर्म्युले नाव. सो बघितलेत का ते? बिकॉज दोज फॉर्म्युले वी आर गोइंग टू यूज इन आवर फर्दर डेरिवेशन ऑफ द स्टेप रिस्पॉन्स. ओके, so this is the expression for C of s. So we want to now take inverse Laplace transform. But ह्याचा Laplace transform inverse आहे का अवेलेबल? याचा आहे. 1 by s चा इन्व्हर्स काय येतो? 1 by s चा इन्व्हर्स लॅप्लास येतो 1. Actually it comes out to be u of t, means unit step signal whose value is 1 for all the t greater than 0. सो राहतो सेक्शन हा s प्लस 2 झीटा ओमेगा एन आणि s प्लस 2 झीटा ओमेगा एन डिवाइडेड बाय s स्क्वेअर प्लस 2 झीटा ओमेगा एन s प्लस ओमेगा एन स्क्वेअर. याचा डायरेक्ट फॉर्म्युला आपल्याकडे अवेलेबल नाही. लॅप्लास ट्रान्सफॉर्म पेअर याच्यासाठी आपल्याकडे अवेलेबल नाही. सो व्हॉट वी कॅन डू, वी विल हॅव टू rearrange these terms in some specific form. Now what I have done here, you can see s square plus 2 zeta omega ns is as it is. Okay, omega n square is also as it is here. What I have done, I have added and subtracted this term. What is this? Zeta square omega n square. Okay, now why I have done this? Because now you can see here, this is what? This is the square of s plus zeta omega n bracket square, right? This is the bracket square s plus zeta omega n. And also this second section, this also becomes what? Omega n square into 1 minus zeta squared, right? So this also I can say that this is square of some term. Which term? याचं जर तुम्ही स्क्वेअर रूट घेऊन स्क्वेअर दाखवला तर we can show it like that. Okay. Now why we have done this? Because we do not have Laplace transform standard inverse pairs for all the expressions. So we have to rearrange terms so that we get in some standard form. Okay. Now I am going to write it like this. Am I correct? हा जो ब्रॅकेट होता, this becomes s plus zeta omega n squared plus omega n square यांच्यातला कॉमन काढलेला आहे, इथून राहिला 1 minus zeta square. Okay. So this I have the expression I have written again here. Okay. Now what? Okay. Now I am again writing instead of this expression. Just to simplify my calculations a little bit, I have taken omega d. This is actually not something randomly taken a term. This is called damped natural frequency. Omega d is equal to omega n square root of 1 minus zeta square. Okay, this is called damped natural frequency. Now in our previous lecture we have seen that zeta is equal to 0. What is that system called? It is called undamped, right? This is called undamped system. So if you substitute here zeta is equal to 0, what we will get? Omega d is equal to what? Omega d will be in this case equal to omega n. Means what? We will get the undamped natural frequency. So it is the same thing now. You can relate this now. Why we call this undamped system? When zeta is 0, when zeta is equal to 0, we call that undamped system. Okay. So here it is. With zeta having some value, we get omega d, which is damped natural frequency, and its value is equal to omega n square root 1 minus zeta square. Now, the inverse Laplace transform, we can now in this case split this term. You can see here it was 2 zeta omega n. So I have taken 1 zeta omega n here and 1 zeta omega n here. Okay, nothing extravagant. It is quite simple that I have done here. S plus zeta omega n एका टर्मला घेतला आणि इथं दुसऱ्या टर्मला घेतला. Denominator is same for both the terms. Now here you can see that the expression, this expression as well as this first expression, all these three are now in some form of a Laplace transform pairs. There are certain forms which we can now use for Laplace transform inversing. Which forms, which formula we can use? I will come to that a little later. Just for a little more rearrangement is required for the same thing. Okay, what I have done here? Here omega n is as it is, zeta is as it is. Again, just multiply and divide by this term, square root of 1 minus zeta square. So when I do this, this is what? Omega d. Now here I get omega d and here get omega d square. Okay, and here whatever the expression remains, it is a constant because there is no effect of this term on the s. S is the variable here, right? So this is what we get now. And now we have exactly some expressions where we have Laplace transform pairs. Which pairs? you can go through this slide which I have shared with you in the morning also. Okay. या साइडला ह्या ज्या आहेत ह्या स्टँडर्ड पेअर्स आहेत. ओके. 1/s+a लॅपलास इन्व्हर्स इज e raised to -at. s/s² plus a² याचा लॅपलास इन्व्हर्स येतो cos of at. आणि a/s² plus a² याचा लॅपलास इन्व्हर्स येतो sin at. रिमेंबर व्हॉट इज दिस? This is a and here it is a². Here it is s. Okay. See what is the difference. For this term here has to be s/s² plus a², so cos at, and here it has to be a/s² plus a², so we get sin at. So you can see that why we did this. I wanted omega d here. This is now in our formula, this is a and this is a², right? You can see here, and this is s plus zeta omega. So this is not really s, but it is actually s plus something. So therefore I have again also given you this property which is called shifting in s domain. Instead of s we have a different value. S is replaced by s minus tau. So if this is the case, it gets converted into multiplication by e raised to that term. Okay, this minus t gets here. Okay, it becomes plus here, e raised to t into tau. Okay, and x of t as it is. So this formula now we are going to use when we apply this shifting in s domain property on this cos pair. What we get here, you can see s plus t, s plus tau is here. Instead of s plus tau we have instead of s we have s plus tau. So here you can see, so you can say it early, the original pair is like this, s/s² plus a². Instead of s we get s plus tau. So because of s/s² plus a², we get cos of at, and because of this s plus tau we get e raised to minus t by tau. So this is how the shifting in s domain property works. Okay. Similarly for sin at also we are going to apply the same shifting property and we get this expression. Now you can see that these terms 1 and 2, these are how we have our these are the terms we have in our equation. S plus zeta omega n upon s plus zeta omega n squared plus omega d squared. So here we are going to get what? We are going to get a cos term here. Okay, cos of what? Cos of, yes, cos of, see what was that? Cos of at. What is a in this case? Omega d. Okay, and because of this shifting it will get multiplied by e raised to minus zeta omega n t. Okay, so let's see here, this is what we get now. Okay, e raised to minus zeta omega n t cos of omega dt, and similarly for sine also we get this. Okay, so we have got our expression for step response of second order underdamped system. From both these terms we can take out this thing common, 1 minus zeta omega nt. This is going to make things a little bit easier, not really necessary, but it just makes things a little bit easier. And again the special case, zeta is equal to 0 means what? It is a undamped system. So what will happen to this whole term? You can see zeta is equal to 0, so this term becomes 1. Here zeta is equal to 0, so this term becomes 0. What remains? 1 minus cos omega dt, but omega d is equal to omega n, so what remains is 1 minus cos omega n t. That is what only remains in case zeta is equal to 0. Okay. So this was the expression. If now we are going to see the same thing, what same thing I'm talking about, the same expression. This is the derived expression that we have taken out for C of t, the step response. Okay. Now when we see this step response, let's see what happens for different values of, let's see what happens when we change the value of zeta. Okay, so let's say zeta is equal to 0.1. So I'm going to show you a graph of this zeta is equal to 0.1 and omega n equal to 3. I'm going to keep the omega n constant so that we get to see the effect of zeta. Okay, we get to see the effect of zeta only. So if zeta is equal to 0.1 and omega n is equal to 3 radian per second, then this is how the response is. This is how the response of the system is. See that again, here also you can see the final value is, expected final value is 1 because we are applying unit step function as input. Unit step input, so output has to be, final value of the output has to be 1. Okay. Now let's increase zeta value to 0.5. Omega n is constant. Now see what has happened. Can you see what has happened here? The oscillations that were present earlier, the oscillations have reduced, right? This is called damping. Zeta increased, so damping increased. So oscillations have reduced. Okay. Okay. Oscillations have reduced. Now if zeta is 0.9, you see there are almost no oscillations. In fact, there is a little, very little oscillation here, but it is as good as 0 oscillations. And when zeta becomes 1, there are absolutely no overshoots, absolutely no oscillations in that case. Okay. So on the looking at the picture on a single slide here, this b actually is zeta. Okay, because it was difficult in the software to write down that number zeta. So here you can see the frequency of oscillations, the omega n we have kept constant, right? We have changed only the value of theta we have changed. So for various values of theta, when theta was equal to 0, when the zeta was equal to 0, what we have a pure sinusoidal response. You can see the red response. The response is purely sinusoidal. Why is it like that now? Can anyone guess why when zeta is equal to 0, the response is plain sinusoidal? Why is it like that? Can someone tell me? There is no damping, no reduction in oscillations. The oscillations will continue forever, just like that only. They are not going to decrease. The oscillations are not going to decrease. Why so? Because you have seen the expression also. See, what was the expression for zeta is equal to 0? See here, 1 minus cos omega n t. So it is a purely sinusoidal wave, right? It is a pure sinusoidal wave, 1 minus cos omega n t. There is nothing, no decaying factor there, right? 1 minus cos omega n t. It is a pure sinusoidal wave. That's why we get the output as pure sinusoidal when zeta is equal to 0. And as this zeta starts increasing, the oscillations start to get reduced. They get to die out. Okay. But the frequency of oscillations is same. The frequency of oscillations is same, but the amplitude or the way in which they end, that is changing. You can see something like this, right? there is some kind of a envelope that is closing in on the response. We are going to see what forms this envelope. Okay, if we keep zeta constant and if we change only the frequency, then what happens? You can see the overshoots are the same, the highest values of the response are same. What has changed is the frequency has changed. Okay, because we are changing frequency basically, so we can see that the frequency has now changed. What do you mean by frequency? This time period of the signal wave changes means frequency is changing. The time period is increasing means frequency is decreasing. Okay, now we are going to move to one of the most important topic again, about the time domain specifications. Okay, time domain specification. If you have any questions, you can raise, by the way. Okay, we are going to talk about, these are lot of things you have to pay attention to. Okay, again, this diagram is very important, and this question is asked multiple number of times in your exams. It has been asked a lot of times in your exams, so try to, I suggest that you draw this diagram on your notebook and keep it with you all the time. Okay, so whenever we talk about the time domain specifications, we always take unit step input, we give it to a second order system, and for such system zeta is between 0 and 1, means it is a underdamped system. Okay, it is a underdamped system. Omega n is greater than 0, means the frequency is greater than 0, and for that, as we saw in some of our earlier slides, that the response is in this manner. Okay, the final value or final expected value of the response is 1, but before going to 1, the response takes this kind of a shape. It goes above 1, then again comes below 1, then keeps on oscillating above and below 1. Now, in theory, actually it will keep on oscillating like this permanently. It will never remain constant at 1. Okay, so for all practical purposes, some error band will be given, either 2% or 5% error band, and when the value goes between that and it stays there, we say that the system has settled. Okay, I hope you are drawing this diagram. You keep this diagram with you, and based on this diagram, you can see here so many things are marked: TR, TP, TS, TD, and MP. These are 5 numbers, 5 terms that are marked on the diagram, and these 5 terms we are going to define now. Okay, these 5 terms we are going to define now. Okay, so the first term is here, TD. It is the delay time. TD is called delay time. Now what could it be? It is the delay. किती उशीर लागतोय, that is what it is, right? It is the delay time. It is the time required. The definition of this delay time is, it is the time required for the response to reach half of the final value for the very first time. Final value किती आहे? 1. त्याचा हाफ किती? 0.5. So 0.5 पोहोचायला किती वेळ लागला? This much. Okay, this much is the time required to reach 0.5 or half of the final value. This is called the delay time. Remember, पहिल्यांदा जेव्हा पोहोचतोय तेव्हा, okay, first time जेव्हा पोचायचे तेव्हा, because in some cases you may have systems like this. These types of systems are also possible where here it will be 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. So many times we may get final 0.5 of final value. So it is not that every time we can any of these we can take as delay time. No, the delay time is the time required for the response to reach half the final value the very first time. Okay, so this is called TD. Okay, now the next specification, next time domain specification is rise time. Okay, the rise time is the time required for the response to rise from 10% to 90%, or 5% to 95%, or 0 to 100% of its value. Now for underdamped system, it is taken from 0 to 100% rise time. Okay, for overdamped system, 10 to 90% rise time is commonly used. So since we are talking about underdamped system, right, we are talking about the diagram is for underdamped system. So rise time here is for the time required for the response to rise from 0 to 100% of the final value for the first time. Again, पहिल्यांदा जेव्हा पोहोचतोय तेव्हाच, for the first time. So this is TR, rise time. 100% value is here. Okay. Then the next time domain specification is peak time. Okay, peak time is the time required for the response to reach the first peak of the overshoot. Again, first peak. आत्ताच मी जशी डायग्राम दाखवली होती, there can be multiple peaks. Peak म्हणजे काय? टोक, higher values, higher peaks. So there can be multiple peaks. So which one we have to take as peak time? It is the time required for the response to reach the first peak. So this is the first peak. This is actually the second peak. Okay. So this time, okay, this is TP, time required for the response to reach the first peak of the overshoot. Okay. Then the maximum overshoot here. Okay, the maximum overshoot, this one, how much is it? Maximum overshoot is generally, whenever we are talking about underdamped systems, the first peak is highest. All further peaks are smaller and smaller. They get smaller and smaller one by one. Okay, peak ज्या आहेत त्या कमी कमी होत जातात आणि finally system settle होते. So the peak time was also about first peak, and maximum overshoot is also about the first peak. Okay, so the maximum overshoot is the maximum peak value of the response curve measured from unity. From here, we are measuring from here. Okay. However, if the final steady state value is not 1, if it differs from unity, then the maximum overshoot will be expressed as percentage. Okay, and how it is done? CTP means what? C of T is the output, right? C of T, this is C of T. So C of TP means the value of output at TP, means this value. Okay, this value is C of TP, correct? This value is C of TP. Okay, minus C infinity. C infinity is what? Output at infinity, means the steady state value, the final value, right? Steady state value. Okay, so the maximum value minus steady state value divided by steady state value multiplied by 100. This is the formula for maximum. This is the definition of the maximum percent overshoot. Okay. This overshoot is particularly important for talking about the stability of the system. Okay. So I hope all of you have noted down whatever I have given here. These definitions of time domain specifications. TR, TD, TP, MP, and TS. TS is what? The settling time. It is the time required for the system to reach within the allowable tolerance and remain there. फक्त पोचणं काम नाही आहे तर थांबायला पाहिजे. Here also you can see that the response has reached between the tolerable allowable tolerance, right? So if it is, let's say 0.2, 0.02, so 0.98, right? 0.98 value आहे. तर 0.98 च्या आत गेलेला आहे हा या ठिकाणी. So but this is not the time, because from here it has gone up, then again gone down like this. So we don't want that. What we want, the response goes and remains in the allowable tolerance. That then only we call it as settling time. Okay. So these are the time domain specifications. Okay. Any questions regarding what we have seen today? We have seen two most important things today. The derivation we have seen of the step response of second order underdamped system, and we have seen the time domain specifications. Both these topics are extremely important from questions, from a university question point of view. Direct questions are asked. Many of the questions are based on that. So you must keep this with you all the time. Okay. Okay. So the lecture will, this meeting will end now. You all of you put your attendance here in the chat box quickly. Okay. And if you have any questions, that we will discuss now. Do you have any questions? So I guess if you don't have any questions, we will continue. Okay. If the meeting ends, you have to rejoin. Okay. Until 3:30, we will continue our lecture. Okay. So now let's look at some of the, I will go through this quickly. I have put these slides on Moodle also, so you can then go through those again. I'm just going to show you the derivation of the these time domain specifications. The first one being the rise time, the first time domain specification. So this is what? This is the expression that we have just derived for the second order system step response. Okay. So when we put T is equal to TR, means what? T is equal to TR, we'll just substitute in this case so that we get that this is what? C of TR. काय असायला पाहिजे value? C of TR कोणीतरी सांगू शकते का मला? Anyone? C of TR means value of output at T is equal to TR. Value of the output at T is equal to TR. म्हणजे हा TR आहे ना, या ठिकाणी व्हॅल्यू किती आहे आउटपुटची? व्हॅल्यू ऑफ आउटपुट ऍट T is equal to TR किती आहे व्हॅल्यू? 1, right? C of TR is equal to 1, right? So if we substitute this, and this 1 will get cancelled out with this 1, right? So here we get 0, and we have this remaining term here. Now again, minus e raised to minus zeta omega n TR. is not equal to 0. Why I'm saying this? Is it 0? It cannot be 0, right? E raised to something is equal to 0. Is it? Okay, so this first term is obviously not 0, so the second term has to be 0. So this is how it is. And then we can rewrite this equation by rearranging the terms like this. Here sine omega d tr is equal to minus, this goes on that side, square root of 1 minus zeta square upon zeta cos omega d tr. And then if we can see tan omega d tr is equal to minus zeta minus square root of 1 minus zeta square upon zeta. Okay, so omega d tr again we can define here, and based on some calculations, based on this diagram, again you can see here this diagram. That's why I told you that pay attention to the diagram earlier also, because this is going to play an important role in your explanations. Okay, so tr from these expressions is this equation. Okay, but what is this? Tan inverse of this term is actually pi minus theta, where theta is equal to this angle. Okay, okay, and how will you calculate value of theta in general? I told you that zeta is equal to cos of theta, so theta will be cos inverse of zeta. So that's how we can calculate the value of theta, and from there we can calculate the value of tr. So this is the expression now for tr, which is the rise time of the second order underdamped system. Okay, don't worry, this derivation, these slides are available on Moodle. Okay, so you can go through those. Okay, all these steps, whatever steps I have shown here, all those are available there also. Okay, just for your additional information, I have given you this. Theta is equal to tan inverse of a by b. Okay, now the next time domain specification, that is peak time. So here it is, the original equation that we have derived for the step response. And in order to find out peak time, what is the specific characteristic of peak time? The response is maximum at that particular point. Response is maximum means the derivative of that will be 0. So first we are going to differentiate this equation with respect to t. So this is the differentiation, and then equate that differentiation to equal to 0. That is how we calculate maxima, right? That is how we calculate the maxima of a curve, maximum of a curve, any curve. We can calculate maximum. How? By finding out its derivative and equating it to 0. Okay. So after some, now I'm going to skip these steps. Okay. You can go. You can find these steps in the PPT available there. Okay. And finally, after rearrangements and recalculations and all these things, what we get finally is Tp is equal to pi upon omega d. Okay, Tp, that is the peak time, is equal to pi upon omega d. Okay, there are some more derivations. Why I'm skipping these is these are not generally asked, and anyway these are available in the books as well as in the on the PPTs available in the on Moodle. So you can refer there also in case whatever suits you. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just go forward and give you the final summary, which is actually required for solving the problems. Okay. This is the summary of time domain specifications. These formulae you should note down and recall every time. You will have to solve lot of problems based on this. Okay, problems are asked. Some transfer function is generally given in the question paper, and you have to solve these problems and to find out the time domain specifications. So you must note down all these expressions. TR is the rise time is equal to pi minus theta upon omega d. Omega d is equal to omega n square root 1 minus zeta square. Why in this form I have written here? Because generally in the transfer function, whatever is given, you generally find out the values of omega n and zeta first, and that's why it is easier if you can recall it in this way, or anyway whatever suits you, you can go for it. Okay, but thing is, you must recall these expressions all the time. You must remember these expressions all the time. Okay, don't forget. And now I will come to some very interesting and important concept here of
हॅलो
yes.
सर, तुम्ही फॉर्म्युला सांगितला टीपी इज इक्वल टू पाय अपॉन ओमेगा डी. बट सर सम बुक्स मध्ये टीपी इज इक्वल टू एन पाय अपॉन ओमेगा डी. तर एन चा मेन्शन कसा केलेला आहे ते समजत नाही सर.
एक मिनिट.
हो,
मी फॉर्म्युला काढतो. टीपी इज इक्वल टू
पाय अपॉन ओमेगा डी.
हा,
तर सम बुक्स मध्ये सर टीपी इज इक्वल टू एन पाय अपॉन ओमेगा डी. तर एन चं मेन्शन कसं केलेलं आहे ते समजत नाही सर.
ते कुठले बुक रिफर केले पहिली गोष्ट?
सर ते बुक्सचं नाव नाही सांगता येणार सर मला आता.
If you are going to refer some books, then you should ideally refer Nagraj Gopal only. Okay,
अच्छा,
नागराज गोपाल हे जे स्टँडर्ड बुक आहेत तेच रिफर करायला पाहिजे. बट the reference can be drawn from here. Actually it is sine inverse of 0 here, so you can here you can see, is it n pi? Is it correct?
yes.
Is it correct or not? Here also it is the same. N value of n is 0 1 2 3 like that. Okay,
Yes sir.
but the first peak, since we are talking about, okay, for underdamped stable systems, okay, underdamped stable systems चा रिस्पॉन्स कसा असतो? Sorry, a little bit underdamped systems चा रिस्पॉन्स हा असा असतो. So the first peak is the maximum always in case of stable system. Okay, there is no point in actually calculating the peak for unstable system. Unstable system कशी असते? We are going to see these things. Okay, further. Unstable system is like this. Its response keeps on increasing indefinitely and infinitely. So there cannot be a peak, right? त्याची peak येऊ शकत नाही. Peak will be infinite. So, and for stable system, it is only like this. First peak. Where will the first peak lie? In that case, only at the value of pi. That's why we take TP is equal to pi omega d. Okay. This expression is only when you take the sine inverse of 0. That sine inverse of 0 you can also take at 0, pi, 2 pi, any value. If you substitute any of these value, sine inverse of 0 or sine inverse of pi, you are going to get the same things. But when you have to choose some value, you have to choose it wisely, considering your other practical requirements, which is in this case that at this value, at this particular value of this angle, that is equal to pi. Okay. Okay, so coming back to what I was trying to tell you, I want to draw your attention to this particular diagram. Again, it is a very important diagram, and this here I have written the value of the pole or the expression for the poles of the system, minus zeta omega n plus minus square root plus minus omega n square root zeta square minus 1. Now you can see this was the shape that I draw for the underdamped system, step response of underdamped system. And there is this something envelope kind of thing, or decay, exponential decay kind of thing you can see if you can draw this kind of a curve over the waveform. Okay. And also I have shown you that it was basically a sinusoidal wave, and when we applied some decay, when we applied some damping, it started decaying, right? We have seen these kind of graphs. So basically in this response, okay, this is the actual response. The envelope I had different envelopes, those are not part of the response. When you see this response, there are basically two components in the step response. First one is the sinusoidal component, purely sinusoidal component, and another one is the exponential decay. Now why this gets into the system? You see, this was the pole, right? हा पोल आहे म्हणजे काय आहे, एक्सप्रेशन काय होतं, s plus a. ओके, 1 s plus a फॉर एक्झाम्पल आपण घेऊया लॅपलास डोमेन मधलं. याचा इन्व्हर्स काय होत असतो, e raised to minus at. बरोबर आहे. ओके, हा पोल आहे म्हणजे काय, हा पोल आहे, याचं मीनिंग काय आहे की दिस इज दी टर्म इन दी डिनॉमिनेटर s plus a आणि s plus b. These are two poles, right? So in this case poles are what, minus a minus b. These are two poles. If this is the example I am going to take here. Okay. So हे जे पोल्स आहेत ते हे पोल्स आहेत. So in the response, when we talk about the response, means when we talk about the time domain, हे कुठे जातात तर e raised to minus at या फॉर्म मध्ये, which you can also see here in this expression, e raised to minus zeta omega nt हा झाला, बरोबर आहे. आणि हा जो इमॅजिनरी पार्ट असतो, आता since there are two parts in this, one is real part and imaginary part, the real part is going to contribute to this envelope, to this exponential decay. Why decay? Because the power is negative. See, असा कर्व कधी येतो, असा कर्व कधी येतो, असा कर्व कधी येतो, आणि असा कर्व कधी येतो. These are all dependent on the values of, all these are, see, all these whatever I have drawn, these are exponential curves, but this is exponentially increasing curve. This happens when e raised to at is there and a is positive, whereas this happens when e raised to minus at is here. Okay, so this is exponentially decay. आता मला सांगा कुठला कर्व हा चांगला म्हटला गेला पाहिजे फ्रॉम स्टॅबिलिटी पॉइंट ऑफ व्ह्यू. From stability point of view, this curve is important. This curve is desirable. Okay, कारण स्टॅबिलिटी साठी आउटपुट हे बाउंडेड पाहिजे. एक्स्ट्रा जर असं आउटपुट येत राहिलं तुम्हाला, जर आउटपुट असं वाढत राहिलं कसंही, तर चालणार आहे का आपल्याला? नो. बिकॉज इफ imagine kara kutli system, some input you are giving to that system and output is going unboundedly exponentially increasing. That is not practically possible. It is not desirable. Actually in that kind of case what happens ki system unstable hote, त्याचे जे पॅरामीटर्स आहेत ते आउट ऑफ बाउंड जातात, मग त्याच्यामुळे सगळे ऍडव्हर्स इफेक्ट होतात. सिस्टम विल फेल इन दॅट केस. ओके, सो दॅट इज नेव्हर डिझायरेबल. So what we want this kind of a response. Okay, we want this kind of a response. So anyway, so when I wanted to show you this diagram, there are two things: the real part in the pole and imaginary part in the pole. So this real part is contributing to the exponential decay. Okay, and the imaginary part contributes to the sinusoidal oscillations. Okay, the real part contributes to the exponential decay, and imaginary part contributes to sinusoidal oscillations. मग आता तुम्ही याच्यावरून सुद्धा काही गोष्टी इमॅजिन करू शकता. ओके, जर का पोल मध्ये फक्त रिअल पार्ट असला, ओनली रिअल पार्ट जर असेल पोल मध्ये, इमॅजिनरी पार्ट नसेल, इमॅजिनरी पार्ट नसायसाठी काय रिझन असायला पाहिजे? तर काय होऊ शकतं, कशामुळे नसेल इमॅजिनरी पार्ट? इमॅजिनरी पार्ट नसण्यासाठी काय कंडिशन असायला पाहिजे तुम्हाला? झीटा इज इक्वल टू 1. इफ झीटा इज इक्वल टू 1 means there is no imaginary part. Correct? So in that expression only real part will be there. So if only real part is there, then only exponential decay will be there. There will be no sinusoidal oscillations. मग zeta is equal to 1 ही कुठली केस झाली? zeta is equal to 1 ही कुठली केस झाली? क्रिटिकली डॅम्प्ड. तेव्हा पोल्स कुठं असतात? 2 पोल्स ओव्हरलॅपिंग असतात. and in that case response कसा असतो? response is simply like this. Response is simply a exponential curve. Only a exponential curve is there in case of critically damped system, when there is only real part in the pole. Okay. On the other hand, if there is no real part in the pole, there is no real part means if zeta is equal to 0, if zeta is equal to 0, what will happen? There will be only sinusoidal part. आपण बघितले ही केस, अनडॅम्प्ड सिस्टम, त्याचा रिस्पॉन्स कसा होता? अनडॅम्प्ड सिस्टमचा रिस्पॉन्स कसा होता? ओनली सायनुसॉइडल आउटपुट होतं, बरोबर? zeta is equal to 0, only sinusoidal output, because only imaginary part is there. Imaginary part is contributing to the sinusoidal component of the sinusoidal oscillations of the time domain response. So if the real part is absent, the system will have only sinusoidal response. If imaginary part is absent, the system will have only exponentially changing response, I would say. Okay, अरे काय हे जे काय बोललो आपण, हे लक्षात आलंय का? These are things you have to relate to all. See, आपण जे बोलतोय हे सगळ्या गोष्टी इंटर रिलेटेड आहेत. मी झीटा इक्वल टू 0 ला अनडॅम्प्ड म्हटलं, त्याचं रिझन तुम्हाला इथेही कळता येतात. झीटा इज इक्वल टू 0, ओनली सायनुसॉइडल एक्सप्रेशन्स, सो देर इज नो डॅम्पिंग, दॅट्स व्हाय इट इज कॉल्ड अनडॅम्प्ड. आपण परवाच्या दिवशी ते डिफाइन केलं होतं. झीटा इज इक्वल टू 0 मीन्स अनडॅम्प्ड सिस्टम. वाय वी आर कॉलिंग इट अनडॅम्प्ड? हिअर ऑल्सो यू कॅन सी, काही वेळापूर्वी सुद्धा आपण बघितलं की देर इज नो डॅम्पिंग, दॅट्स व्हाय इट इज अनडॅम्प्ड. झीटा इज डॅम्पिंग फॅक्टर, तो 0 आहे म्हणजे नो डॅम्पिंग म्हणून सुद्धा आपण कॉल करू शकतो तिला अनडॅम्प्ड. सो देर आर डिफरंट थिंग्स but still they are relating to the same concept, same logic we are talking about. Okay, so I guess आजच्या पुरता हा डोस पुरेसा आहे.